I'm really honored to have been invited to be a panelist in this on this topic, violence against children, and to also give a civil society perspective. Because of the time, I'm going to just use 2 or 3 slides just to highlight some of the points with regard to the key challenges that I have seen as a both as a social activist and as a physician, and also as a person who have been working with children, and also as a father. The key, I will touch on the key issues as I see, which have been highlighted in very recent consultations as well, and I'm going to go by the documents that have been produced very recently during the last 3 months by the National Action on Prevention of Preventing Violence Against Children in Sri Lanka, and also just share a few examples of how we could have intervened in some of the critical issues and how we can think aloud probably in coming together as religious institutions or civil society organizations with a spiritual underpinning to their work. I would like to highlight the key issues again, which are known to most of you, as it has been mentioned earlier: physical and humiliating punishment, sexual and gender-based violence, and children in institutions, child marriage, online safety, emotional well-being, and mental health are some of the key issues that we are dealing with when we discuss about violence against children. Now, I would like to again remind ourselves, as it has been emphasized over and over again, social cultural norms and attitudes play a vital role, both positive and negative, in child well-being. Poverty. We are an organization working around the country with low-income communities, and we know how child poverty affects the well-being of children, or poverty in general in the family and in the community affecting children. The other key issue is really lack of societal commitment. Do we really care on our daily lives? Particularly the political structures or political leaders, do they really care for children? Do the community really care for their children? Do we have a culture of child protection? We used to have, but we have to now question, do we have that culture of protecting? Are we only focused on our own children and not really caring for children of others? Institutions also, I think, lack commitment. We have seen, government officers really working hard with very little resources to look after children. Probation's department is represented here. If you look at their budgets, no proper allocation. So how are we going to really see progress in the kind of results that we are expecting? And sadly, I'm talking very openly, politicization of key institutions. We never had a practice of appointing political stooges to key institutions looking after children in this country. But last few, probably in recent past, we have seen that they are appointing people to boards who are not competent, who don't have any experience working with children, and at times they are perpetrators. They have history of abusing children, and they are being appointed to key positions, and this is a real problem. Then lastly, lack of evidence-based action. We have a lot of research. For example, research on poverty. I think Sri Lanka is very rich in having data on every problem on the earth. We know what's really happening. I don't think, even though some people say that we need more research before we can act, I really don't believe. And if you look at, this is an analysis from a data set. I don't want you to go into all the details, but on poverty in Sri Lanka. And this particular research, next slide please, have analyzed how the children are affected by poverty in different using different variables: age, sex distribution, marital status of the family. Next slide. And you have rich data like this. Okay, how many poor households are there in a particular district, right? So you can really focus your interventions. You can analyze. There are qualitative research also available. I'll not go into detail. I'll just cite another very important example. which is a study done by one of my colleagues in the Department of Community Medicine in the University of Colombo. Next one. This is on extent, trends and determinants of teenage pregnancies, done 10 years ago, 2007, right? Now we are sitting and talking about the same problem 10 years later. Next slide, please. So here, in 2006 and 7, they have mapped the highest rates of teenage pregnancy in Sri Lanka, highest in Eastern Province. Today also, it's the highest. Right? What have we done during that 10-year period? How much money we have pumped through our own NGO programs to that particular province. So what's wrong then? It's not lack of data. We knew the problem. We knew why it's happening. Next slide, please. And now these researchers brought together and had this analysis done. So beautiful, right? Bringing in how does a teenage marriage happen? How does a girl get pregnant unprepared? All the pathways have been mapped out, which includes even misuse of mobile phones, right? Now this is how technology, now 10 years ago that was not a problem, but today internet is a problem. Online abuse of children and how it leads later to violence of children, right? So we can, as our Lordship said, we can do things already with our own resources to interrupt those pathways, and that is what organizations like Sarvodaya have been silently doing, rather than waiting for national schemes to come up and address. But now we have come to a stage where there is commitment and there is another one, next one. Where people are, now there is a interest for different institutions to come and work in partnership. So today I think we have to look at how we can work together, and I have listed down here some of the programs that Sarvodaya is doing. I will not go into details on this. We have included the paper in the docket that you have on early childhood education, but we have few other programs. Our approach is really it is an integrated approach. It's holistic life cycle focused and value based, and at the same time evidence based. So Sarvodaya Suwaseta, which maintains institutions, while we are maintaining childcare institutions to the best standard, we are also parallelly initiating a deinstitutionalized program. We are preventing children from being institutionalized. So this is very unique, and last 7 years we have been successfully running that program. In the southern province we have prevented hundreds of children being institutionalized. Just giving an example. Then rather than blaming about use of internet and child abuse, we have a program called IT Yahamaga, which is, next slide, you can see these are programs by our Vishwaniketan meditation program. This program with the Ministry of Education, IT Yahamaga, how can you use the mobile phone or internet in the proper way, right? And also, finally, we have with the support of Arigatou Foundation, as part of the global network of religions for children, we have been working to establish a knowledge base focused on action, not just on theory, on action, and collecting those information. And today some of these best practices like Sati Parcel of our Venerable have been presented. So we would like this group, all of you, to share your experiences of good practices, and supported by institutions like UNICEF and the other government institutions, and WHO has come up with a new strategy called Inspire to intervene in problem of violence against children. So we can, if we all come together, I think we can really tread a new path. And it's not really starting anew, but really building on what we are all already doing, and using the rich resource as religious institutions or organizations which are inspired by spiritual underpinning. So I would like to conclude by saying, by highlighting these points, there is enough data and scientific evidence on the problem to address the issue of violence against children in Sri Lanka. That doesn't mean that certain focused research is not required. I am also an academic, so I would like more knowledge to be generated, but I don't think that we should wait until that research is completed, because it will take another 5 years before we start doing anything about it. There are examples of good practices we have heard today, we have seen today, and the required resources, human, material, financial, can be mobilized by us. And religious institutions and leaders can play a pivotal role, and it has to be based on partnerships. This is the time for partnerships. So at the end of this session, hopefully we can get to know each other, each other's institutions, and really work on an action plan to work together as institutions which care for children, at the same time which use the most fundamental positive teachings of every religion. Thank you.